It's Bob Tuskin live at the Free Your Mind Conference, and I think that's Ben Stewart over there. Hey Ben, what's your next film project?
Hershey's Chocolate. That's my favorite.
No. What's your next film project?
Oh, Barbara Streisand. I love her, dude.
Okay, this isn't gonna work, Ben. Let's talk. How's it going, buddy?
How's it going, Bob?
Nice to see you.
Yeah, man.
So what's the next film project? Anything on the horizon?
Well, the next film project is primarily going to be about art, the importance of art and culture, and how art seems to actually be a tonic or some type of a cultural medicine. Whereas, you know, you see we have medicine for any type of illness we deal with, but art happens to be a type of medicine on a cultural level. So being able to express oneself is a form of art, and to be able to actually bring the importance of art to society is the ability to allow large groups of people to be able to express what it is they're dealing with, and that's societal health.
I've looked at some of the research of ancient civilizations, and they've made these, you know, these awesome cave paintings. And then there's folks like Graham Hancock who think that this was, you know, with psychedelics and entheogens, that there was this jump in communication. Do you see art as kind of the evolution of our thoughts and that kind of thing? I mean, do you see where I'm going with this? No, because I don't.
I would say, I think that now, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm not gathering what your question is, but I think that art is actually already the ability for us to be able to expand into the infinite, from the box that we think within, to expand beyond that. Because I believe that what health truly is the stagnation of energy. It's us not being able to break out of a loop, a pattern, and to actually just go with the flow of evolution.
Exactly.
Evolution flows, it doesn't return and just stay within a pattern.
Right.
So that's kind of what I see is all art is grasping beyond where we've already gone. It's developing new patterns, because that's what recognition is, or cognition is, seeing patterns within the world, and an artist sees new patterns. Because there's an infinite amount of patterns all throughout the universe, but it's the artist or the shaman, which I believe is the same thing, that recognizes new patterns that have never been seen before.
You talk about shamans in your talk quite a bit. Perhaps you can identify for the viewers who didn't see your talk, what exactly is a shaman?
Well, a traditional shaman, let's say 1,000 years ago down in the Amazon, was the artist, the scientist, the doctor, and also like the elder of, and the magician, basically, of the entire tribe, basically. So they embodied everything. They were the judge, the scientist, the artist, you know, the philosopher, all of those things. But what shamanism truly is we all have our own inner shaman, and the shaman of a tribe, what they do is they see what it is in you that is stagnant. And so they help you recognize your inner shaman, because nobody can give you the medicine to heal you. Your medicine is within you. All a shaman does is help you recognize the way to it.
And you talk about the guts, and you gave a whole new perspective to, it's my gut feeling. Because as you pointed out in your presentation, there are literal feelings amongst your gut. You want to explain that to the people a little bit?
Yeah, so basically the gut is always forgotten. We have two brains, and that's the second brain. They actually call it the second brain because it's part of the autonomic nervous system, but it's called the enteric nervous system, and it records, whereas this records intellectual memory, this records emotional memory, and it does it in the form of electromagnetic charges, and so it'll hold an emotional charge in all of your organs and in your gut, and if you're not breathing properly, then what happens is that part of your gut will atrophy. And then let's say you're like in your back, muscles will have to work overtime to overcompensate for the atrophying muscles here and the deficiencies within your organs.
And what's the name of that that massage therapy that
it's called Chi Ne Song.
And it's the massaging of the gut, right?
That's part of the whole practice. Part of the overall thing about the practice is in training the body to learn how to breathe properly. And then once you're breathing properly, you're bringing attention with the hands to specific organs that are deficient. So when you bring attention to a specific organ that's deficient, you will breathe into it. Because if you put your hand here, your mind is naturally paying attention to that feeling of there being a hand there. And when your mind is connected to it, and you're breathing, and you're conscious of your breathing, then you're naturally going to breathe into that spot. So if you do that all around the gut, and you massage the abdomen, then what happens, not only are you pushing the feces through, but you're detoxing, and you're also showing your body how to breathe naturally. Whereas most allopathic medicine, they don't show you how to do it on your own. They give you the key, or they give you like some medicine, so you have to keep going back to them for their medicine.
It's a trap.
This is in training the body to do it on its own, so you eventually don't need the practitioner anymore. You are doing it for yourself.
That's very interesting. Oh, and you mentioned the feeling in the gut, but what about the heart? Is there a connection to the heart? That, you know, I've heard a little bit about the heart also acting in a similar way. You know.
Yeah, and when I say the gut, it's actually a misnomer because it's all of the vital organs. So it includes the lungs. It also includes the glands, you know, the thymus, pretty much everything. This is the main part because this is where you have the most access. You're not really going to massage the heart or the lungs, but your breath does that. So when you breathe properly, you're actually massaging and palpating the heart. You're breathing abdominally through your diaphragm, so you're massaging your large intestines, small intestines. So the heart, yes, it has a lot to do with it because that's one of the major organs in your body.
You talk about the importance of breathing, and you mentioned that, you know, whatever illness, whatever problems you have, or I mean, I'm simplifying it a bit, and we have all sorts of choppers going on.
They're after us. They don't like this type of information.
Is that a popo chopper? I don't know.
They're talking about Teenage Song. Get them.
It's always a popo chopper. Nobody else is allowed to fly choppers.
Yeah, right.
Except for the media.
Back to breathing. I mean, I kind of thought, you know, you said, okay, you have this problem, breathe. But don't you think that's simplifying a little bit? I mean, I don't know. My first inclination is that breathing alone can't deal with some of the damage we've already done. And when we throw into the mix high fructose corn syrup and all the other damage that people do to their bodies, not you and I, because we look out for that kind of thing, but don't you think that breathing alone is not exactly going to help? I mean, I'm not trying to challenge your thoughts on that. But.
No, I welcome the challenge because when people ask me that, that's typically what most people think.
Right.
Because there isn't just one kind of breathing. 95% of the population doesn't truly breathe correctly.
All right, so how do I breathe correctly?
Well, I mean, the quickest and easiest way to do it is to take some time with it. It takes some time. So, like, it's not really a quick and easy way, but there's different ways. Like, okay, you breathe out, which is laterally. You also breathe up, and you breathe into your back. And basically, you don't just breathe here. Your lungs expand in every single direction. So in Chinese song, what they do is they'll hold you here, and they say, breathe my hands out. So you're breathing here first, and then they hold you here, and they say, breathe here, breathe me out. And then they hold you here, breathe me out. And then it's the same thing like right here, breathe me out. So what you're doing is you're learning to breathe into all of the spots that we generally lock up. And a lot of people are locked up in their chest, they're locked up here, and they don't breathe there. So they breathe shallow, so they're breathing up, but it's bringing their diaphragm up, and it's causing a lot of problems. So breathing correctly is really just about, like, the best way to do it is by laying down and bringing your knees up, flattening your back, and like bringing your chin in, and just breathing into the gut, and then just remembering that everything is supposed to move. So you're also supposed to be breathing into your back, so you feel your back going into the bed or the floor or whatever you're laying on. So when you breathe correctly, because I've done a full like weekend workshop just getting people to breathe correctly, and when you can get somebody eventually to breathe correctly just 1 or 2 times, they have emotional releases, because they're actually touching spots that they haven't felt, like parts of their own body that they haven't felt in years. Because that's what happens. We store emotional trauma here, and we lock up, and then it becomes atrophied, and we no longer breathe into those areas. So, to answer your original question, like, is that simplifying it by saying that? Yes, if you're talking about the breathing that most people would assume.
The breathing we're doing as we speak.
Exactly.
But meditated breathing.
A true full breath is far more healing than most of the medicine that you'll get out there. And it is quite simple, and then from there, yes, you move on, because there's emotional trauma that breathing, like there are other things that will accelerate the healing.
Right.
But breath, if you are breathing correctly, what you're doing is you are properly eliminating the emotional charges that are holding up inside of your body. And all that is that's what makes us ill, is energy that will not move. And once you're breathing correctly, you have energy moving all throughout your body, and eventually you're going to digest all of those experiences that your body wouldn't let you digest before.
You showed the water that was flowing in your presentation versus a puddle that's just sitting there, stagnant, and it makes sense intuitively, and we see it in nature. Ben, it's been great. People should definitely check out your talk if they weren't here in Philly to watch it in person. Last question.
Yes.
What's the favorite film you've made thus far?
Kymatic.
Kymatica, without a doubt.
Mine too.
And that's, that's just, it's my own personal baby. Like, I love Esoteric Agenda and I love Ungrip. But Kymatica, there was something that happened to me during that process, and that's the film that that's the film that changed me the most. And I say this a lot, like, those films weren't just made for other people. I can't even hardly take credit for those films because I don't remember most of creating it. I was in a fever, 6 months, clammy, pale, white.
And it's not because you were a wasted rock star, right?
No, that's part of it.
Okay, part of it, all right.
No, most of it is just because something was coming through me, and then years later I go back to that film and I realize that film was also made for my own healing. So it's just, it's unexplainable in other ways too. Like, there's just some reason why that's my baby.
Well, very good stuff, Ben, and of course, Hiersonic.
Hiersonic.
That's your other baby, and you take the concepts that we might hear you in a talk or in one of your films, and you use art to share some of these ideas, and I think that's brilliant.
Oh, I love it. Music is what brought me into doing films in the first place.
And we got stuff on the horizon for them as well, I imagine?
Oh yeah, we're in the studio right now recording more music.
What was the new track? I played a little clip of it the other day. You posted it on the Facebook.
Oh, you mean the one that we haven't shown the whole thing of?
It's Free Your Mind. Own Your Mind. There we go.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, man.
Well, lots of great stuff to look forward to from Ben Stewart. Ben, it's great to see you here.
Beautiful.
Thanks so much. And definitely check out his talk and all of his music with Hiersonic and all the great work Ben does. So, thanks so much.